Hey YouTubers, this is Lonnie Clark again. That's for art after a really long time, I know. Thank you for watching my channel and for listening to my radio show, The Age of Fission. Because I got a comment on a post that I made about radiation, I decided I am going to read this book. This is kind of the announcement video. It's called Radiation-Induced Cancer from Low Radiation Exposure, an Independent Analysis. John W. Gofman, MD, PhD, 1990, first edition. Committee for Nuclear Responsibility, Inc., CNR Book Division, Post Office Box 11207, San Francisco, California, 94101, USA. And this is actually owned by somebody else who bought it out. I looked it up, and they gave me permission to read this. They said, please do. And after I read that, I started to read the introduction about the author. Let me just give you this. This was like, what? I mean, I did not completely understand this. So this is why I'm going to read this. I had a boss of mine a really long time ago. His name was Alec Berkman. He was an insurance salesman, and he was a pretty awesome human being. I actually was lucky enough to work for this firm called Financial Kinetics. I think they're still there. They're in Diamond Bar, California. They literally saved my life. Alec Berkman did save my life. He hired me and sent me to a therapist. And actually it was pretty awesome. But it's the kind of wake-up call that you get when you read a book like this, because I sat in Alec's library and I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it changed my life. I just read something that I think ought to change everybody's life. And this book ought to make us remember exactly why the nuclear industry has spent billions and billions and billions of dollars making us forget this. The facts, folks, about nuclear pollution. Let me just start in on the introduction. This book is dedicated to Malcolm Mal Hancock of Great Falls, Montana, an independent analyst of a different type. About the author. John William Gofman is a professor emeritus of medical physics at the University of California at Berkeley and lecturer at the Department of Medicine, University of California School of Medicine in San Francisco. He is the author of several books and more than 100 scientific papers in peer-reviewed journals in fields of nuclear physical chemistry, coronary heart disease, ultracentrifugal analysis of the serum lipoproteins, the relationship of human chromosomes to cancer, and biological effects of ionizing radiation with particular reference to cancer induction. A narrative chronology. While a graduate student at Berkeley, Gofman co-discovered protactinium-232 and uranium-232, protactinium-233 and uranium-233, and proved the slow and fast neutron fissionability of uranium-233. I did not know that. Postdoctorally, he continued work related to the atomic bomb. Prior to operation of plutonium-producing reactors at Hanford, plutonium was so rare that not even a quarter milligram existed. That's a milligram. A quarter milligram existed, but a half a milligram was urgently needed for making measurements in the Manhattan Project. So they needed twice as much as what had currently existed. At the request of J. Robert Oppenheimer, Gofman and Robert Koenig irradiated a ton of uranyl nitrate in, placing it around the Berkeley cyclotron night and day. In 110 Gilman Hall, they scaled up Gofman's previous test tube-sized sodium uranyl acetate process for the plutonium's chemical extraction, dissolving 10-pound batches in a, quote, hot, unquote, ton in big Pyrex jars, and working around the clock with the help of 8 or 10 others. In about 3 weeks, they reduced a ton of a half cc of liquid containing 1.2 milligrams of plutonium, twice as much as expected. Wow. So I guess that requires I write this book, because John Gofman discovered this stuff, and actually he spent the rest of his life working to tell us to stop it. And all they have done is continued it. And everything that has happened in our culture is happening because of the nuclear lies. I was thinking about this today. The IAEA has complete authority over the World Health Organization, over the Japanese government, over every government on this planet. They all shut the fuck up. Excuse my language. Every politician, every single person in power, very, very few. And if the few come out against it, they get knocked off. And they get Karen Silkwooded. I mean, they really honestly have no regard for life on our planet. So what is the point of it? This is the common thing. We have to, we are not getting out of this. We are being irradiated. New York City is being irradiated at an unprecedented level. The Hudson Bay, the Hudson River, it's not just New York. The 50-mile radius is New York, yes, but it's going to be, those people in upper state New York, anyone who gets near the Hudson River is going to be super screwed. These things last for people think this is just like coal. No, it's not like coal. 500,000 years, 250,000 years, 225,000 years, 775,000 years. That's how long some of these catastrophic isotopes last. So it is super important for people to stop being afraid. How do I rephrase that? It's not like everyone's not like at a gut level anxious and afraid. It is super important for us to act as rational human beings and to calm down, because it's on our watch. We're the adults. And this is why I say learn to meditate, calm yourself down for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Do tapping. That's what tapping's about, you know. The thing is with tapping, you start, let me just show you the points again. You start here. Think about what's going on and that's freaking you out, and then end it by saying, I choose. You can choose to deeply and completely love, honor, and appreciate yourself and approve of yourself. Because actually, sometimes we don't, this is what Brad Yates explained. He explained it on my radio show, The Age of Fission. We don't always love ourselves. That's part of the issue. So we're choosing to love ourselves. We're choosing it. We want to, but we don't. So this is the good thing about doing it this way, because we choose to love ourselves. I choose to love, honor, approve, and accept myself. And then you move on and you think about the anxiety. You tap the top of your head. Untap the corner. It doesn't even matter which side of your face, just the corner of your eyebrow. And then here, the corner. And then on your cheekbone. Then under your nose. Right here in the crease of your mouth. Right here, your clavicle. Or some people do your collarbone. So either way, from what I understand, this whole general area is really great. Like even if you're just in a public place and you're all freaked out, just tap there. It's a really good place. Then under your arm, which is always awkward for no matter how you look. And then back to your hand or on the top of your head. And you end the session, or you do it until you feel better. Like sometimes it takes 5-10 minutes, so it's okay. How long does being freaked out take us? A lot longer than 10 minutes of tapping, that's for sure. So, I'm going to be reading this book, you guys. I can't honestly say that I'll be doing it every single night, because right now is tax time. March 15th, corporate filing deadline. April 15th, the deadline for everybody else. And I have finals at the end of this month. So at the very beginning, I'm probably going to read every 2 or 3 days on this book, but I will read and I will be consistent. And right now we're on page 7 of the introduction of this book. And I'm going to keep reading it because it shocked me. Just that little bit, I honestly did not know that as a graduate student, that's what he discovered. Pretty intense. And it's too bad that our government did not choose to be honorable about it. But right now we have to cope with that. And so this is why I can't stop making videos. Please join me tomorrow on the Age of Fission radio show. Tomorrow is Call-In Friday. You can go to www.ucy.tv. And if you go at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you'll see our show pop up. If not, the call-in number is the same. So if you go to the show tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and you have gone to the website, say tonight, the call-in number is going to be identical. I think it's 817-818-8296. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. So join us there, but I don't know. I wanted to share this with you because I'm going to keep reading this book. There's trolls out there, or they're not even trolls. I think they're people who have been convinced by bad science that nuclear pollution is just not as harmful as we conspiracy theorists think it is. No, it's actually really hardcore science. And the fact is, the International Atomic Energy Agency has complete censor authority over every government, every scientific journal. It is not a conspiracy theory. It's not a well, the conspiracy is against them on us, because we are now their little lab rats. Go ask the people of St. Louis or New York, or where Zion nuclear power plant is. Take a look at those oncology rates. The levels of brain distortions, genetic defects, all kinds of stuff that happens to children, that's just being considered, it's the parents' fault, they have a genetic problem. No. These people never had problems in their lives. So it's really important for us to just start going, give me a break. We're not buying your story. Keep it for yourself, because it's your excuse. They have created this harm. They may have the legal authority to not be held accountable, but they do not have the legal authority to fucking lie to my face and say that it's everybody else's fault, that it's these people that are having these unusual diseases because they eat GMOs. Or it's bullshit. This is the thing that people don't get, excuse me for cussing, is it's really important for people to understand is that it's not about just the immediate cancers or diabetes that people get. It's about 3, 4, 5 generations down the road when our children show these genetic mutations that will happen. We've seen it in butterflies, in birds. We are seeing it in mammals now. We've seen 2-headed dolphins. It is time for our scientists to start being conscious and alive and aware and decide they're going to speak out. I am going to go protest at the environmental law conference this weekend here in Eugene, Oregon. I looked at their calendar. There is not one thing about Fukushima Not one about the nuclear pollution. Nothing about making an emergency session about what's going on in New York City. New York City is being contaminated with nuclear pollution by Entergy. And the NRC is allowing them to lie for a short period of time to give them time to fucking cover up their act, but it's not. They're being poisoned. That's the thing. They are being poisoned, and the Environmental Law Conference in Eugene, Oregon is not even talking about it. Fukushima has been going on for 5 years. They're not even talking about Fukushima. 5 years. It is going on for, it's not like it happened 5 years ago. It's on now. 5 years. 5 times 365 days a year. Fukushima is a fucking huge mess that is only worse than it was 5 years ago. And they act like it's yesterday's business. No, it's not. No. And neither is New York City, neither is the WIPP, neither is Hanford. None of it is safe. None of it is well protected. They have got to put scientific no holds barred. We have got to put money into it to figure out how to turn it around without interest for profit. It's so outrageous that we are willing to kill every species of life on this planet. So here I go. I'll stop here, you guys. This is the book I'm going to read. I hope you follow me. It's probably going to be a slow read, and we're going to get ourselves an education. Put your courage feet on, you guys. Here we go for another ride. Ciao.